Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Do you remember Hideki Matsui's first hit in the majors? What about the time that Scott Brosius got plunked in the arm by Roger Clemens' fastball and caused a bench-clearing brawl? Well, this guy does. It's NY Yankee Throwbacks. His Twitter account has over 12,000 followers because he tweets obscure but memorable Yankee moments. And he's here today to talk about them. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for coming on. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Now, your account, NY Yankee Throwbacks, and again, people can follow you at Twitter at Yankee Throwbacks. What gave you the idea to start this account, which is wildly popular? A lot of people follow you, like over 12,000 people.
Yeah, it was. I started it in this last December, and it was just like a cold winter morning, and I really just wanted to watch some baseball. It was like the middle of the off season, and I've been a Yankee fan my entire life. I love the Yankees, and I just love baseball, and I love. I was spending a lot of my free time, honestly, like watching old clips on YouTube of just like random Yankee moments from over the years. Some of them, really popular moments like the Aaron Boone home run, but I was also going down these like YouTube rabbit holes of just watching like random clips of like a July game in 2006. So anyway, on one of those rabbit holes, I just started to think, maybe I should just start posting these on Twitter and see, if I'm feeling this way. I'm sure a lot of other Yankee fans are also feeling this way. So that's kind of how I got started. I just started one day in December, and for about 3 weeks, I had maybe 9 followers, and that was fine with me because I just enjoyed posting clips from YouTube and just, having some followers. It really didn't mean that much to me. But then it's either late December or early January, River Avenue Blues, the former Yankee blog and the great Twitter account now, retweeted one of my videos, and that kind of sparked a bigger and bigger following, and it's just kind of taken off from there. And I've just tried to stay pretty consistent with my posting schedule, posting, at least one clip every day if I can. And I have a whole queue of clips I just like have saved in a spreadsheet, and that way, like every time I want to post, I don't have to go like searching through the YouTube archives. I just have this whole document I reference. So I have so many clips saved up. I mean, MLB and the Yankees have posted so many videos online over the last few years. So there's just a treasure trove of great moments, but also really random and obscure moments that I can post on the account. And now here we are, 8 months later at almost 13,000 followers. It's really amazing. Never expected it to grow that much, but it's really, really awesome to see.
And why do you think people just respond to this so well? Is it just like liking nostalgia, or is it just kind of like, hey, that memory from that home run, 8 years ago, I remember I was there, and people connect really with the, maybe the things surrounding the moment than the actual moment. Like, why do people like this love these old little clips and again, not really big World Series wins or anything dramatic, just a random moment like May?
Yeah. It's funny. I think nostalgia has a lot to do with it. And there's not really another account on Twitter like this. I know there's plenty of accounts that are posting videos of games that are happening that day, but there wasn't really an account that was posting old videos. So it kind of filled a void in the Twitterverse, I guess. And also, when the pandemic happened and baseball stopped, there was no baseball on. So there was even more of kind of a demand for baseball content and just watching baseball videos to fill that void. So I think, from starting in March when they postponed the baseball season up until very recently when they resumed it, there was definitely, an audience of people who just wanted to watch baseball, and they were able to do that on through the Yankee Throwback account.
Gotcha. Now, when you pick these moments, does it work where you search for a moment, or it's just like you find something posted somewhere or like on YouTube, something like that, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, it's good. Or do you like go out looking for these moments to find, first, like, Judge's first home run or something? Like I wouldn't know where to find it if I wanted to, I think.
Yeah, all the clips are on YouTube actually. And sometimes I just go foraging on YouTube, looking for anything out there. There's a lot of old clips that are buried in the MLB YouTube account that were posted years ago. But honestly, like I'll just be eating breakfast or like drinking my coffee as I am now, and a random moment will pop into my head from, a game in 2006. And I'll just go on YouTube and search and see if it's there. A lot of times it is. There's so much there, and also YouTube, as you may know, has this very this intense algorithm, I guess you could call it, where they kind of know what you like and the content that you like to watch. So over time, as I've searched for hundreds and hundreds of Yankee videos, they will like serve me like related videos of other random Yankee moments. So now that YouTube knows what I like, they are often just serving me these videos, and then I just if I see one I like, I just copy the link, I put it in a queue, and so oftentimes, when I'm posting, I'm not going out every single day looking for videos. I'm just referencing this kind of large document of content that I have saved up.
Gotcha. Well, I'm definitely going to join you in a morning coffee. Now, I guess, we're about the same age group, young guys, I guess Yankee fans. I guess, how did you kind of get pulled into the Yankee world? Was it family related, or is something you picked up with friends at school? Like, how did you become a Yankee fan?
Well, I grew up in Westchester County, about an hour north of the city, and I grew up right, in the late 1990s, the wheelhouse of Yankee success. So it was easy to be a Yankee fan at that time. They were winning the World Series. They won 4 out of 5 years from '96 to 2000. A lot of my friends in school were Yankee fans. I came into baseball a little on the later side. I remember the first time I was actually watching the World Series was, I think, in 2000. So that was the first time like I saw the Yankees win the championship. But and I was a little older at that point. But it definitely did not come from family. My family grew up in New England, and my dad's a Red Sox fan. So I grew up in a home with a Red Sox fan, which was not easy. And then I also went to college in Boston. So pretty much my entire life, I've been surrounded by people from New England and Red Sox fans. As you can imagine, in those great playoff series in '03 and '04, it was really, really difficult to be a kid and live in a house with another Red Sox fan. But thankfully, a lot of my friends were Yankee fans. Most people in my school, I'd say the vast majority were Yankee fans, and then there was a small minority who were Mets fans. But growing up in New York definitely helped, and also watching the Yankees have so much success early on.
And of course, you mentioned the late '90s run. I'm thankful I was around to see that as well. But if you look at the teams, I guess '96, and then you had the three-peat, and then I guess you could say maybe the '09 was kind of like the last hurrah, the core four. If any of those, was any of those like championships your favorite?
Well, the two that I watched were 2000 and '09. Those were the only two that I watched live. And even 2000, I was kind of young. I don't actually remember what it was like too much. Definitely remember how intense the Subway Series was, but I was still young at that point. So it was really '09, I would say, was my favorite, just because that's the one I remember the most vividly. I remember watching all of those games, that entire season. I mean, it was just an incredible season. I think they had 17 walk-off wins, including the playoffs. And every game, you just felt like they were never out of it. And even into the playoffs, they had amazing comebacks. You had the A-Rod game-tying home run in the ALDS, and also in the ALCS. You had Matsui's heroics in the World Series. It was just an incredible run, and there was so much that was leading up to that World Series. So for me, I would have to say 2009.
Yeah, I mean, I think this for me, I'd probably be on the same page for a lot of reasons. I just lean more to '96 because, at least for my memory, that was like my first one to remember. But just a quick thing with '09, actually, I was there for some of those great games. I was there for the A-Rod home run over Joe Nathan, which I think to this date, that was probably the most ruckus of the new stadium. I mean, literally, I was in the upper deck. The place was like shaking. And then I was there also, I think it was game 2, Mark Teixeira had the walk-off in the 13th inning. Oh, yeah, I know, it might have been the same game. Yeah, Mark
That was
Teixeira
the
had the
same game, yeah.
walk-off. So, yeah, I was there for that whole game. I think I just moved down to a different section. And, yeah, that whole run was incredible. I figured, since you're on here and you've seen a lot of different Yankee moments and stuff like that, I just want to maybe give you, I guess we'll go through maybe a top 6 because, 5 is kind of even, but 6 is an obscure number. And I was just going to give you maybe 6 moments to compare, which is like the bigger moment. So you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first one I got up here, what was more heartbreaking? 1995 ALDS Again, Edgar Martinez hits a single off of Jack McDowell. Ken Griffey Jr. comes around to score. Yankees eliminated from the ALDS after, making the playoffs for the first time in 14 years and being up 2-0 in the series and then choking it away. So you got that in one corner. Or we have Game 7 of the 2001 World Series. We're out in the Arizona desert. Mariano just crumbles in the ninth inning, and Luis Gonzalez little full hit over Jeter's head, and Yankees eliminated from the World Series. To you, what do you think is like the more heartbreaking of the two?
It's a great question. I would probably say 1995 because, as you said, they hadn't been in the playoffs since 1981. So there was a long drought. It was Don Mattingly's first time in the playoffs, and it was kind of his last hurrah, right? Because he retired after that year. They were up 2-0. And also that Game 5 had like so many back and forths, and then of course it ended that way. So just because of the long drought, I think I would say 1995. I mean, obviously 2001 was heartbreaking. I remember watching that. It was probably the most heartbreaking moment of my life. But they had just won 3 consecutive World Series, and I actually remember when Luis Gonzalez hit that walk off Rivera, the camera panned to Joe Torre. And you could see like a little smirk on his face. And it was almost like, okay, like they got one. Like we've won 4 of the last 5. They got one. Like that's, it kind of is what it is. So it was definitely heartbreaking, but heartbreaking in a different way because they had been just coming off of so much success. So I would say 1995.
Yeah, actually, I would be on the same page with that one. First, I remember saying it was 95 because it was like the first, at least for me, I was probably around like 14 at the time. So I kind of understood. And I was just so happy for Don Mattingly and for them to blow a 2-0 lead when all those other games they lost. They also had leads in all those games. And it's like Edgar Martinez just crushed the Yankees, hitting grand slams. And we had a garbage bullpen, had like Steve Howe come in and just get mopped up. And yeah, I remember 2001, like I was bummed out, but it was also the same way. I was like, yeah, but we got 3 in a row. And, it was a great World Series. There was some great moments. So like that one, again, same page as you. That one doesn't bother me as much. So the next one here, number 2. Now, again, it might be a couple years, so I don't know if you remember the whole mood or environment coming in, but in terms of major league debut for a Japanese player in pinstripes. Now, you have 1997, Hideki Irabu, who they kind of made like this mystified guy who could throw 100 miles per hour, or the arrival of Hideki Matsui in 2003. Of course, Godzilla hitting like 50 home runs in Japan, but again, how would he adapt to a U.S. baseball? So in terms of a build-up to the moment, what do you think was like the bigger hype?
I don't remember Hideki Irabu's debut too much. It was a little before my time. Obviously, I remember him, as a pitcher and kind of the insults that George Steinbrenner threw at him. But so I would say Matsui just because I remember when he debuted and there was just so much press around him. And also like having Japanese hitters in baseball was still really new at the time. Like Ichiro had come into the league in 01, but you didn't have that many Japanese hitters yet. So Matsui was kind of like in the first of this wave, and you didn't really know what to expect from him other than you knew that Ichiro had had incredible success here, and Matsui was coming off a season in Japan where he hit like 50 home runs, and he also had this amazing nickname to go with it, Godzilla. So I would have to say Matsui.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Actually, and I went to that Hideki Irabu first game, and that night alone, it was magic. It was special. But then, like the 2 starts after that, he got like knocked around, and it was just like it kind of fizzled out fast. Where, there was that mystique with Irabu, but Hideki, like I said, Matsui came as like a rock star, like Elvis. Like again, he said he had his own plane, he had like his own press that like followed him around like a god, basically. So we're going to stick with pitching here. So for number 3, we got a couple of no-hitters. We got the Jim Abbott no-hitter in 1993, again, disabled with one hand, but getting a no-hitter against a pretty fearsome lineup in the Cleveland Indians, which featured Carlos Baerga, Albert Bell, a young Manny Ramirez, Sandy Alomar, or 1996, Doc Goodin for the Yankees, coming back after being away from baseball and facing a tough Seattle Mariner lineup, which features, of course, Ken Griffey Jr., Jay Buhner, Edgar Martinez, and getting a no-hitter. So comparing the 2 players, the 2 situations, and the 2 teams you're up against, what was like the more improbable no-hitter of the 2 in your mind?
Great question. I mean, I'm almost like inclined to say that's a push because you're right. I mean, Jim Abbott throwing a no-hitter with one arm is it's one of the great athletic feats, and also did, of course, did it against a great lineup in Cleveland. And then Doc Goodin, I mean, he was, a lot older at that point. He didn't have the stuff that he had with the Mets in the 80s, and was also facing a great lineup in Seattle. So great question. I would probably lean, I would probably lean towards Jim Abbott, just because, again, of, all the adversity that he had to go through. Just to, number one, just be a major league pitcher, and then number two, to actually throw a no-hitter. So I'd lean towards Jim Abbott, but obviously Dwight Gooden's no-hitter was super impressive as well.
Yeah, same thing there. Like, I just every pitcher Abbott, like you have to throw the ball and then put the glove on. Just the, I guess by that point he's used to it, but just the uncomfortableness of doing that, and at that time, and then of course going to get a good lineup. So yeah, I would agree. I would definitely give Jim Abbott the nod on that one. It's number 4 now. So we're gonna go from obscure to little World Series high, big moments here. So got a couple World Series moments, home runs actually. So we got the Jim Leyritz home run. It's 1996, Game 4. Again, the Yankees were down 2-1 in the series. The Yankees were losing 6-0 in the game, inching back, and then Leyritz hits a 3-run home run off of Mark Wohlers. Boom, to tie the game. You get the famous call by Joe Buck. Versus, you jump to 2 years later, 1998, Scott Brosius, Game 3. Again, the Yankees are losing 2-3 to the San Diego Padres. Now they're up 2-0 in the series, so it's not really like a must-win game, but it's a big, dramatic 3-run home run off their closer, Trevor Hoffman, to put the Yankees ahead 5-3. So given the 2 moment situations, what do you think was like the bigger home run of the 2?
Definitely got to go with Leyritz. I mean, they were trailing in the series. They were, as you said, they were down 6-0. They had cut the deficit to 6-3, and then Leyritz hits a home run to make it 6-6. So given that they were down, that it tied the game, I would have to go Leyritz. I mean, the home run that Brosius hit in the World Series was also great, but they were up 2-0 in the series. They had some wiggle room, so I'd have to go with Leyritz.
Yeah, totally agree there. I mean, the Yankees had to win that game. It was kind of a must-win. So you go down 3-1, you're done. I mean, even though the Yankees blew a 3-0 lead to Boston, 2003, which we don't want to talk about. But yeah, I definitely have to go with the Leyritz home run of the 2. Now, we switch back to some pitching, little obscurities there. Now, first of all, before you mention it, I see that you use Mike Mussina as kind of like your profile pick. Any reason why you picked Mussina?
Well, so first of all, do you know the story of that picture of him yelling at Joe Torre?
Remember a little bit like Torre was going to come out. I remember it was a game against Detroit, and it was going to be a complete game. I remember watching it, and Torre was going to pull him out, but it was like 9 innings, 2 outs, and I think Mussina said, "Just get back in that dugout," whatever. Kind of balked at him. So if that's the one I'm thinking about,
that's exactly right. Just one of the funnier moments that I remember, and I remember when I was making the account, that moment popped in my head, and so I searched for the video and I found the screenshot of Mussina when he's actually yelling at Joe Torre, and I thought it would be just a really funny picture to use. So honestly, it was just a random moment that came to mind, and definitely an all-time moment from Mike Mussina, and he ended up yelling at Joe Torre, and he finished the game and he won the game. So it was a good win as well.
Yeah, I remember that game too for some reason. I guess that's the only time you've seen Mussina show any emotion. And at least on this show for the past couple of seasons, I've been basically campaigning for him to get to the Hall of Fame. He finally did, so I was happy. Even though he kind of has this neutral hat, he has the Baseball Hall of Fame hat. But even if he picked the Baltimore hat, I would have been okay with it either way. So so that kind of sets up this next question. We had 2001, Mussina almost throwing a perfect game in Fenway. I think 1 or 2 outs, Carl Everett hits a single opposite field, ruins it. I mean, the Yankees win the game, but still could have had a perfect game in Fenway, which would have been awesome. So you take that in 2001 versus, we'll go 1996 now with David Cone. Obviously, he missed a chunk of the season to start the season with an aneurysm. He had the surgery, comes back, and in his first game back, has 7 no-hit innings. But because it's his first game back, he doesn't have the arm strength yet. Torre pulls him out after 7 innings. So, I mean, what do you think is kind of more disappointing? Cone not getting that perfect game, which had been amazing. Your first game back, he was throwing no-hitter in 96, or Mussina losing his perfect game in 2001?
Yeah, I remember watching that Mike Mussina game. It was a Sunday night game on ESPN, nationally televised. For whatever reason, I just remember the center field camera was really, really high. They have never used that camera angle. They never used it before or since. And it was just a really weird angle to watch the game. It just sticks out in my mind. And then, as you said, Carl Everett breaks it up with 2 outs in the ninth. Good question. I would say the Mussina one is more heartbreaking because he's 1 out away from a perfect game in Fenway Park, nationally televised game. It was late in the season. He was facing a great Red Sox lineup. So the Kona one was disappointing too, but he still had 2 innings to go. So for me, and also because I just am biased, I remember watching the Mussina game, I would have to go with the Mussina one.
Yeah, probably decided there as well. Because even though Cone, it would have been a cool story, but he did get his perfect game eventually in '99. So it's not like he lost his opportunity. And funny enough, in that Mussina game, pitching for the Red Sox, the starting was David Cone. So it just goes to show,
That's right.
show the whole lineage. All right, so for our last one, it's going to be extra innings. We're going to be in extra innings on this one. So I'm going to take you back 2002. A rainy night at Yankee Stadium against the Minnesota Twins. The Yankees were in extra innings. They were losing 10-7. And then Jason Giambi hits a walk-off grand slam, game-winning home run, again, in the pouring rain. Kind of his Yankee moment, even though, he was with the Yankees for a while, but that was really his Yankee, welcome to the Yankees moment, versus going to 2009, that season you mentioned, A-Rod against the Boston Red Sox, the 15th inning, a game actually I attended, hitting a game-winning home run in the 15th inning, again, so for A-Rod. So of those 2 moments, what do you think was the bigger one, for Giambi or for A-Rod?
Another great question. I was at the Yankee game the night before the 15th inning game. That was the first game of that series of the sweep against the Red Sox, and I remember Melky Cabrera hitting a big home run off John Smoltz. But anyway, 15 inning game was great. Remember watching that game vividly as well. I would go with Giambi in 2002 though, because it was his first year on the Yankees. He had struggled in April and the beginning part of May, and was just looking to break out. And it was a very dramatic game, as you said. They came from behind and went to extras, and he hits a home run in the rain. And it was his first big Yankee moment. So I would have to say that. The A-Rod one was great too, but it was later in the year. The Yankees were well in first place by that point. A-Rod had already had some great moments that year. I remember his first game back from the DL, he hit a home run on his first pitch in Baltimore. He had also had a walk-off earlier in the year against the Twins. So he'd already had a couple of moments that year, and was also, his 5th or 6th year on the team. So I would have to say Giambi, just because it was his first big Yankee moment.
Gotcha. No, I'm totally on the same page with you. Again, because in 2009, A-Rod was a team for a couple of years, a little bit, so it's not like he's brand new. With Giambi, I remember people wanted him to be Babe Ruth in the first week, and he wasn't. And they were kind of getting on him a little bit. He was striking out a lot, but that kind of game, once he hit that, he kind of relaxed a little bit and then started putting up the numbers we all thought he would. We have this, season now. It's a young season. It's different. But just basically based on the small sample size we've seen so far, have you seen any moments where that could be a memorable moment down the road? Has there been anything that right now just sticks out? You had any home run or moment or just weird situation on the field that could be a future NY Yankee throwback moment?
I thought the home run that Judge hit in Baltimore in the 9th inning was huge. I think it was the first or second game in that series against Baltimore. And also just his entire season, really. I mean, he's hit 7 home runs in 10 or 11 games. So I think, and so many of those home runs have been big too. He hit the 2 against the Red Sox, and the second one put them ahead. So he's had a number of really, really big home runs so far this year. The one in Baltimore was great. I think, other than that, I mean, really not really too much from the pitching side. Certainly from the starting pitching, Garrett Cole's the only starter who's had some success so far. Some great innings from the bullpen, but nothing really that sticks out on the pitching side. Obviously no walk-offs yet. So, it's just been a really crazy season, and it's they've kind of just had to go with the flow and play these games and play double headers when they weren't expecting to. But still, I mean, they're playing great, and there have been a couple of nice moments so far. So hopefully, they'll continue in this shortened season.
So again, people can follow you at Twitter at Yankee Throwback, and follow him. He has plenty of obscure Yankee moments for you that will kind of take you back, and some great memories. Some things you may want to forget, but maybe just enjoy a few good moments. So again, appreciate having it on, and again, at Yankee Throwback, follow him right now on Twitter. Thanks for coming on, Jeff.
Thanks so much for having me.